Today, Post-it feels almost invisible. It sits on desks, sticks to monitors, marks pages, and disappears so naturally into everyday work that most people never stop to think about it. It feels simple, obvious, like one of those products that was always supposed to exist. But products like that are usually hiding a much stranger story, because Post-it only became valuable when someone finally understood what it was actually good for, and that is what makes this story worth telling. Post-it did not begin as a brilliant plan. It began as a failure. That is what makes the story so good, because one of the most recognizable office products in the world was not born from somebody saying, "We know exactly what people need." It was born from the opposite. A scientist at 3M was trying to create a strong adhesive, and he didn't. He made a weak one, a glue that stuck, but not too much. A glue that held, but could be peeled away. A glue that did not behave like a serious industrial breakthrough at all. At first glance, it looked like the wrong result, and in most companies, that would have been the end of it. Wrong outcome, wrong product. Move on. But this is where the story becomes interesting. Because bad results are not always useless. Sometimes they are just waiting for the right question. Spencer Silver had created something unusual, microscopic adhesive spheres that could cling lightly to surfaces and be removed without causing much damage. It was not the powerful adhesive he had originally been looking for, but it was different enough that he kept talking about it inside 3M. That matters, because many ideas die twice. First, when they fail to become what they were supposed to be, and second, when nobody bothers imagining what else they could become. Silver did not let the idea disappear. He kept presenting it, kept describing it, kept reminding people that this strange adhesive existed. For a while, though, it still had a problem. It was interesting, but it had no obvious home. And in business, that is dangerous. A technology without a use is not yet a product. It is just potential. Potential is cheap. Translation is hard. Then came the real turning point. Art Fry, another 3M employee, had a very ordinary problem. He sang in a church choir, and he used paper slips to mark pages in his hymnal. But the slips kept falling out. That sounds tiny, almost laughably tiny. But small frustrations are often where huge products hide. Because a lot of people ignore small annoyances. A few people understand that everyday irritation can be a market. Fry remembered Silver's weak adhesive, and suddenly the failed glue was no longer a failure. It was the answer. What if a bookmark could stick just enough to stay in place, but peel away cleanly? That idea changed everything. Now the adhesive had a job. Not heavy industry, not giant machinery, not some dramatic technical mission. Paper, notes, pages, reminders. That is another reason this story is so strong. The breakthrough was not just invention, it was reframing. The adhesive did not change. The meaning changed. This is where many companies miss opportunities. They assume the value of an invention is fixed. They think, if it failed at the original goal, it failed completely. But sometimes the real opportunity is not in improving the original idea. It is in relocating it, putting it somewhere else, giving it a new role, finding the problem it was secretly built to solve. That is what Fry did. And once that happened, the product started to feel obvious. That is always a powerful sign. The best product ideas often look strange at first, and inevitable afterward. Of course, people would use it for notes. Of course, people would use it for bookmarks. Of course, people would want paper that sticks and removes cleanly. But only after someone made that leap. And even then, the product was not instantly guaranteed to win. That is another important part of the story. A good idea is still not enough. You still have to refine it, manufacture it, package it, introduce it in a way people actually understand. 3M spent years improving the adhesive, building prototypes, and solving production challenges. Early market tests in 1977 were weak, and the product did not immediately take off from advertising alone. That is where the story becomes real business history, because this is the point where many people get the wrong lesson. They think Post-it succeeded because the idea was cute. No. It succeeded because 3M kept pushing until the product was easy to use and impossible to forget. The biggest breakthrough came when people actually got to try it, not read about it, not hear about it, use it. 3M discovered that sampling worked far better than brochures because once people used the notes, they wanted more. The product's adoption accelerated after that kind of hands-on exposure. That detail matters a lot, because some products do not sell through explanation. They sell through experience. The moment someone sticks one to a page, a folder, a desk, a document, the product explains itself. That is incredibly powerful. It means the value is not abstract, it is immediate, and immediate value spreads fast. That is how a failed adhesive became a global office habit. Not through one magical moment, but through a chain of smarter decisions. A strange result. A scientist who refused to forget it. A second person who saw the real use. A company willing to refine, test, fail, and try again. And finally, a product simple enough to become routine. That is what built Post-it. Not perfection, recognition. The real turning point was not the moment 3M made a weak glue. The real turning point was the moment someone realized that weak was exactly the point. That is a powerful business lesson, because sometimes the market does not reward what is strongest. Sometimes it rewards what is most useful in the right context. That little yellow note is proof. It was not the adhesive people originally wanted. It was the adhesive they ended up needing. And that is why the story still works, because it reminds you that some of the best business ideas do not begin as wins. They begin as results that look wrong, and the company that wins is the one that knows when wrong is actually different. That was Post-it's turning point, not stronger glue. A better use for weaker glue.